If someone asks you, what's a good movie? How do you respond? Your answer actually reveals a lot about you as a writer, and it might also help to indicate why you might be having trouble improving as a screenwriter. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking if you're finding value. Thank you for subscribing if you haven't done that. Please be sure to check out links below. There's some free resources that might be helpful to you and links to just some other things. So just thank you for watching. All right, what's a good movie? Let's jump in. Every writer starts off somewhere. Okay, we all start somewhere. We've watched movies, we're like, hey, I want to write a movie. At some point, we make this shift of wanting to write a movie, but we don't really fully understand what all that's about. So we start learning and we start watching things, not just to enjoy, but to appreciate, to understand, why is that working? How is that working? And one of the distinctions that it's really hard for any writer to start to understand is the distinction between what is entertaining and what is satisfying. Because a good movie should do both. It should be both entertaining and it should be satisfying. But if you say like, oh, what's a good movie? And your answer is a movie that is really just entertaining, okay, that's not a good movie. It might be entertaining for sure, but it's not satisfying. Or maybe you watch a movie that's satisfying, it's got a full and complete story and it's doing some of the right things, but it's just not entertaining. It's boring, it's slow, it's not engaging the audience. And that's not a good movie either. Okay, so when you're figuring out what makes a good movie, you want something that's both entertaining and something that's satisfying. So let's talk about each of those things for a moment. Entertaining movies do a lot of things. They thrill us, they scare us, they make us laugh, they're seductive. They're doing things essentially that give us as an audience an endorphin boost. Anything that gives an audience an endorphin boost makes it entertaining. Okay, it makes us engage. So you're creating mystery. Now we want to watch. Ooh, a problem to solve. Or oh, something's going on, or oh, that's funny, or oh, this is tense, or oh, like all those things start to create some endorphins for us. And we like that element of movies. We want to be engaged. We want to feel good. And some people like to be scared. Some people just like to laugh when they watch. Some people really like explosions. Some people like all the other stuff. So you have to figure out what makes a movie entertaining, and not just entertaining for you. Okay, there are movies that you find entertaining that other people may not find entertaining. And what you have to do as a storyteller is start to understand what are all of the tools available at my disposal to help entertain an audience. And entertain simply means to keep their attention. You're keeping their attention because you're giving them endorphins. They like what they're getting. They want more. That's what you're doing. And there are tools to engage an audience. Things like dramatic irony, things like plant and payoff. Those are things that help engage the audience and keep them involved in the story. But they are simply just entertaining. And another element of entertaining movies is they include stars that we like to watch. Okay, it's that whole notion of like, I'll go see anything with Keanu Reeves in it. If he's in it, I'm there.
It is a pleasure having you with us again, Mr. Wick.
So it doesn't matter what the movie is. I'm going to be entertained because Keanu Reeves is in it. And we like movie stars, and that's perfectly fine. Now, you as the storyteller can't control who's in it though. So you have to pay attention to that first side. What are the ways to keep the audience engaged? Because you can't use the stars, even though that is a very valid reason for why movies can be entertaining. But what makes a movie satisfying? Well, satisfying movies answer all the questions that we might have that the story raises. Another way to say it might be, it is a complete story. There's no really big gaping plot holes. There's nothing that we really question. There's nothing when we get to the end that we're left wondering, hey, what about that? Or how did that? I don't understand that. Or that didn't make sense. Or what's going on here? Or what about that? Simply satisfying movies answer our questions. The other thing satisfying movies do is they are about something that matters. There is a theme, a prevalent theme, something that's going on in the story that we, the audience, care about. And it's usually something that's for a broader human general condition. So things like forgiveness, love, acceptance. And if you're talking about a theme related to that, you're going to start to tap into a lot of people, and they start to feel like that the story really matters, right? It's a story about social justice on some level. So people are going to watch that because we all care about that on some level. Some of us really like it. Some of us really don't. I don't understand why people don't like justice, but whatever. But the thing is, when it's done well, when we finish watching a satisfying story, we feel like we have experienced the movie instead of just watched the movie. We feel like we've lived with the characters, that we want to spend even more time with them. We want to hang out with them. We want to invite them over for dinner, right? We want to just be with them because they communicated something that mattered to us, that struck something deep in our core. It's something that matters. So it's got to have a complete story for it to be satisfying, and it should also be about something that matters. Now, you can have very light and fun comedic movies that, yes, are still about something, but that don't really hit it too hard. And then you can have dramatic movies that kind of hit the theme really hard. It's like, no, here's what this is about. Either way, satisfying movies are the ones that you think about days later, weeks later. They're the ones that you replay in your head. You remember specific moments because they connected to you and you connected with them. That's a satisfying movie. What you want to do is you want to find and define a good movie as one that's both entertaining and satisfying. Now, here's the thing. You may understand and start to understand story on a really good level that you need to understand to be a storyteller. So you're understanding stories. So you can tell if a movie is satisfying or not. But you watch it and you're like, yeah, but I just wasn't entertained. But that doesn't mean it wasn't a good movie. It means that you specifically weren't entertained. It doesn't mean that it didn't have entertaining elements within it. So that's why you also have to understand not just what's entertaining for you, but what is entertaining. What are things that can tap into the emotions of the audience and keep them engaged in the story? But some people then go the other way and they think, oh, well, then it's all about explosions and sex and gratuitous language and all kinds of stuff. It's like, no, you're going the wrong way. Yes, on some level, those things might be entertaining to some people, depending on what your tastes are. But just doing that doesn't make it a good movie. So you might say, well, I've got a complete story, so I just got to add this other stuff in. Well, that's not right either. Those are mechanisms of story. They are not part of the storytelling. When we talk about something that's entertaining, it's the storytelling. So the story has to stand on its own. That's the satisfying part. And the storytelling has to stand on its own. That's the entertaining part. And they both have to be working together. So as a storyteller, you can control the emotions of the audience. That's what a storyteller does. They are a manipulator of emotions. That's what we're doing when we tell a story. We're manipulating emotions. You also can control the content of the story and make sure that it's satisfying, that it's fully developed and fully formed, and you can make sure that there is unity within all of it, that there is a theme, that it's consistent, that it matters, that it's about something that can change somebody's life. But if you don't know how to control the structure, if you don't know how to manipulate emotions, if you don't know how to fold in theme and unity, you're going to have a problem telling a good story, and you're going to have a problem recognizing a good story. One of the things you should do is just kind of step back and look at what are some stories, what are some films that you think are good films, and do other people think those are good films? And then try to figure out why. Why do you think that particular film is good? What makes it entertaining? What makes it satisfying? And study it and figure it out. Break it down. What is the story? How is the story working? Try to pull it apart. It's the same thing that a doctor or a student learning to become a doctor does with a cadaver. Okay? They are looking at the cadaver. They are figuring out, okay, how do these organs all fit together? Where does this go? How does this fit here? And you kind of need to be a coroner in a sense with movies. Pull them apart, dissect them, figure out what's working, what makes them entertaining, figure out what makes them satisfying. And once you can start to recognize those elements, now you can really start to recognize what makes a good film, whether or not that's your particular taste or not. So you might like certain films for you and say, I really love this film, but it's just entertaining. It's not a great story, but I just love watching it. That's perfectly fine. But you also have to understand what makes a good story. and it should be both entertaining and satisfying, not just necessarily to you, but to anyone who might watch that. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Hopefully it's been encouraging to you. If you found some value, please be sure to like, subscribe, bell, all that stuff. Again, I do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for doing that. Don't forget to check out resources below. And when you go to tell a story, it should be entertaining, it should be satisfying, but you should also tell a story that matters. See you later.